So we got glass on the truck. Went with Advanced Fiberglass Concepts on this. I had it on my last truck and I was just really happy with the way it looked, the fit, finish, everything, customer service, and the fact that there was no lead time on these things. They were just ready to go. So 2-inch rise, 2-inch flare, front and rear, everything bolts right up. All your stock corner markers, flares get reused, all bolt right up. And then when you come to the bedside, gas fill just plugs right in there, rear corner markers, and obviously your taillights. Just super stoked. This is kind of a big kind of part of it, getting the truck going, kind of giving you a little sneak peek, the end goal and the aesthetics and the proportion of the truck. So I'm super stoked on that. But today we're not going to be doing anything with the glass, maybe some minor trimming, because I'm going to try to get the bumpers and front mount intercooler, high mount intercooler, by SVC Offroad. So super stoked to kind of really get rolling. Like I said in the first video where I introduced this truck, the day after that video, this thing started getting the glass put on and we started going after that. And now we're working on bumpers. So things are progressing fast because I think I'm like 40 days out before this truck needs to be complete, you know, as complete as I can get it. So that's the goal here, is just seeing how far I can go. Still struggling with some parts, and waiting on some stuff, but yeah, I mean, all the cool easy stuff is coming now. So glass is on, started trimming it up. It has been modified a little bit, and I'll get more into that as we go on. But yeah, front mount intercooler, got to cut some frame horns, relocate some stuff, and get these bumpers mounted up. So I think I'm going to start with the rear bumper, which should be pretty easy. I've already like kind of marked where it needs to be cut, and I already know that it's just going to bolt right up, but it's just a few things, cutting, dovetailing the bedsides a little bit to match that bumper line, and move on to the front. So I'm not really trying to cram and thrash a ton of stuff. I'm just rolling solo today, so no helping hands, which does make it a little bit harder. It's easier to just go quick when you have somebody taping and marking, and then you can cut, or vice versa. So I'm gonna start on the rear bumper, maybe cut the bedsides, dovetail it, get it all fit up exactly how I want it to look, and then kind of assess where we're at. And then maybe, you know, part 2 of this will be tomorrow or something, and I'll do the front. So I'm gonna get into it. I gotta grab the bumper from outside on the trailer, and then I'll kind of show you what it is and how it's gonna look. All right, well, here's the rear bumper. This is an SVC Offroad Baja V1. Super clean, very high clearance. They've refined this a little bit. I had this on my last truck as well. They've just changed up the design a little bit, very slight. They've added sensors. That was not an option before. And they just slightly refined that back plate. It's actually bent instead of flat, and they relocated their badging. And it bolts just directly to these stock frame horns, and I can show you here. I've scored right here. This mark is where I'm going to be cutting both frame horns. Very simple install, super easy. And with my other bumper, if you guys are wondering, it does have a hitch receiver. I towed around 40,000 miles with my last Raptor with this rear bumper with no issues at all. In a completely unmodified state. I did after a while, just because I wanted to go overkill, and I was running a tire swing off that, which is like adding a couple 100 pounds to the tongue weight of that. After I bolted it all up, I just welded a bead of weld across the bottom just to join the frame horn and the bottom of the bumper. So as it was getting pulled from the front like this down, it wouldn't basically rebound back up. And just a little extra thing that if I wanted to remove it, I could just simply take a cutoff wheel to that bead of weld and we're good to go. So getting a little bit into the weeds, but I just kind of trying to answer some questions as we go. So this is gonna be super simple. I've already marked it out. I'm just gonna cut those frame horns. I'll get it bolted up, and it should be good to go. I did modify one thing here. It's a very minor thing that took way too long and I definitely wouldn't recommend. Is, as you can see, that top plate, how it rolls into that tube. I basically just welded the whole thing across, and then I blended all that top plate into that top tube. As I got like a quarter way through, I was just like, this is just not worth the time, and I totally understand why SVC doesn't do it, but I think the end result is going to be something I'm going to be really happy with, and if I'm not, then I have learned my lesson. Just leave it alone. So yeah, I think the only thing else I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna add a little bit more receiver on the backside. That's all I'm gonna do. And the reason being is because my bike rack and swing out, they just need a little bit more tongue length, and for that expanding wedge to actually get purchased, and that allows me to tuck whatever accessory that I'm mounting really close into the bumper and still have full purchase and be able to utilize the hitch pin hole that SVC has provided. So super simple. So I'm gonna get jamming on this. I've already talked about this way longer than I think anybody wants to hear about, and I'll get this cut, get it all mounted up, and show you what it looks like. All right, so I got both sides cut. Only takes about a few minutes each side. Highly increases your departure angle, really cleans up the look of the truck. So now I'm gonna get the bumper mounted up, get it all level, make sure everything's good, and then I can start marking out where I'm gonna dovetail the bed sides. All right, so I got the bumper all mounted up. Give you guys a little look. Nice and tucked. All right, so now I gotta tape out where I wanna dovetail the fenders, and that's where it really starts to take shape. So let me get moving. And there's a few ways you can do this. I like to keep it with the stock angle of the fender, so it's just kind of running parallel with that. Some people will go more aggressive and they'll go down and they'll end at the bottom of the fender, and they'll keep this section of the fender, so it kind of just goes down, and I think that looks kind of weird. And then from the back, I like it to just at the bottom of the tube, so basically all you'll see when it's cut is the bumper ends there in the bottom of the tube, and it's just above the bumper you'll still see panel. And I typically like to cut underneath my tape line. I use the tape line as a guide. I'm not cutting right on it, because it gives you a little bit of leeway. If you cut crooked or whatever, you can sand up and smooth it to that straight line instead of cutting into that line. So I'll get this one cut up and show you guys what it looks like. All right, so I got this thing pretty sorted. Both sides are dovetailed. I started cleaning up the arches as well. Just started sanding everything, getting it kind of prepped up, just making sure everything's even. It looks really, really good. Both sides look proper now. And dinner bell's ringing. Rachel told me dinner is ready. And I got a full day tomorrow, so I think I'm gonna go for a ride in the morning and then just get cracking on this thing tomorrow and just tackle the front end. Like I said earlier, front mount intercooler, high mount, so SVC Offroad, as well as the front bumper. So get the intercooler in, and then I can chop the frame horns, get that high clearance front bumper in there, and we'll be dialed. Start working on the front glass and just touching everything up, making sure all the arches are clean. ADV does recommend that I, build in a relief lip. That's where most of the strength comes from on the fenders, is in here. I mean, they're super strong, but they get even stronger if you add about 2-inch lip in there. I'm just quite concerned actually about tire clearance and all that, so I might have to do some kind of like guesstimating on where they're gonna go and how it's gonna tuck. I personally like the way this looks, but I agree. I think the fenders were much stronger when I had that actual relief lip in, so we're gonna see. But I'm gonna start cleaning it up and getting everything kind of like sorted out, and then get a fresh start tomorrow when it's daylight. Get a little bit more light in here. Maybe I'll have some help. That'd be cool. But I'll figure it out. So I'll catch with the I guess I'm tired. I'll catch up with you guys tomorrow.